Welcome to our AMA with OpenOcean. This is actually our first partner AMA of the year, with many more to come. So I'm super excited for this one. If anyone else has tuned into previous AMAs, a couple of weeks ago, I was actually referencing this integration before we'd announced it. So anyone who was there knows I'm super excited about this particular partnership. As well as introducing any newcomers to both OpenOcean and FORE, rather than having a strict agenda, I want to have more of an informal discussion on how collectively and individually we are planning to drive accessibility and adoption in the DeFi space, particularly within prediction markets, but well beyond that too. Also, can't wait to get to some of your questions. We've had hundreds of them submitted over the course of the last week, so thank you all for that. And we have a competition to be announced too. There's always something that we get to share in these AMAs. So I'll kick off with a bit of an introduction. I'm Timothea, and I'm co-founder of FORE Protocol, the first people-powered prediction ecosystem where you can generate income for creating, participating in, and validating prediction markets. So whether you want to take a position on the future market cap of OpenOcean, or the next US president, or even the number of questions that are asked in this AMA, you can take a position on a potential outcome of any event on FORE. And if you don't find a prediction market that's of interest to you on the platform, you can create it yourself and essentially become the bookmaker and earn a percentage of the total market size. And of course, in true decentralized fashion, you are rewarded for your activity with up to 50% of the platform fees. So joining me today is the wonderful Guy Polio, Business Development Manager of OpenOcean, the leading meta-aggregator with billions in yearly volume across 35 chains and counting, thousands of liquidity sources and millions of users. Firstly, thank you so much for joining us, Guy. And I know this has been a kind of long time in the works, so thank you for helping make this exciting and, in my perspective, game-changing integration happen.
No problem at all. It's a massive delight to be here. First of all, to not only speak to all the FORE fans out there, but also all the OpenOcean heads who might you could do with a little bit of an unveiling of the amazing prediction tools that are on FORE. So I've had quite a bit of a play myself. I must say there's quite a few tantalizing options on there that I really want to kind of get stuck in with. But very, very quick sort of recap of myself. I'm Guy, I work on the business development growth team here at OpenOcean. Been with the platform for the last 17 months. And so far in that time, we've managed to 5x our platform volume. That includes both our front end and our back end services. And we try and provide an all-in-one service, not only to platforms that are looking to access token flows, so whether that's like zaps, portfolio rebalancing, swaps, we can do all the above and more. We're one of the largest fee-free DEX aggregators in the space. That means users don't pay any additional fees on the swaps they do. So whether that's through a partner, whether that's through us, or whether that's through a wallet like MetaMask, you're not going to pay any additional fees for our swaps. And as Timothea rightly said, we are on over 35 different chains. So no matter what your chain of choice, no matter what your degen chain of choice, L2, L1, we've got you covered. So yeah, happy to get stuck into the weeds today, dig down more into the partnership and what this is going to mean for the wider ecosystem. So fun times.
I love that. I was looking for the fire emoji to react to all of the stuff that you were saying, but I was just limited to hearts and 100, so hope that sufficed. Before we jump in, the market is pretty crazy right now. Bitcoin is at 52K. BlackRock saw the most successful ETF launch of all time with its Bitcoin ETF. And as someone building a meta aggregator across so many assets, liquidity sources, and chains, I imagine you have a real finger on the pulse of not only current trends, but future forecasts. So I'd really love to know, in the spirit of predictions, what your predictions are for the year ahead.
Oh, that's such a really open-ended question. But yeah, I mean, we do have, like I said, we do have our kind of head in the weeds, so to speak, in what's going on with different chains. Personally, I'm really excited to see. We've had 2 SmackDown already, but I'm personally excited to see the potentials of an Ethereum ETF. Whether that comes later on in the year, Q3, Q4. Obviously, we're going to be witnessing massive trend changes this year. So real world assets are going to sort of roar their head, and we're massively predicting as well a huge resurgence in AI. Not to say that AI related projects have actually gone anywhere. In fact, the opposite. They've actually been sort of taking crypto by storm, and I think we're going to see a resurgence of that this year. Yeah, in terms of overall markets, with BlackRock getting in, post halving, I think we're gonna as soon as we hit that 69K price point again, right? As soon as we get over all-time high again, all the media outlets are gonna go absolutely nuts. So we're like sort of massively preparing for Q3, Q4 this year. We've got some tools up our sleeves that we're gonna release. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a really exciting year, especially as for those of us who have been in since 2019, 2020. I think it's been enough. We've been enough time in this space now that we're sort of ready for that next bull market, and I think everything is lining up that sort of way. But to draw on one of my favorite prediction markets on FORE, will Barbie win the Oscar for Best Picture in 24? I hope so, because it was a great film.
I haven't actually seen it yet, but I'll have to watch it before I jump in on the market. Also, it sounds like there's a ton of markets that you should be creating on FORE sometime soon. So I look forward to seeing that. Maybe we can have like an OpenOcean alpha little hub with all of your predictions for the future, and we can start making some markets on your predictions.
Yeah, I definitely think that actually could be a good prediction. I don't want I wouldn't want to lead it too much, but it'd be like, how many chains does OpenOcean support at the start of 2025? Because we've got more and more like L2s coming under our belt. So yeah, I think that would be a fun prediction market to launch.
Well, and that's been something that we've worked with some other partners as well, as like an opportunity to create some engagement within their community. Obviously, there's certain things that we shouldn't be necessarily speculating on as project owners, but things like new chain integrations, total value stake, total value locked. I feel like there's a big opportunity there to be creating some exciting markets and kind of cross-pollinate those communities. In terms of my prediction. It's not actually mine, but obviously I'm biased. But I've referenced this before, but Bitwise Investment expects to see $100 million staked in prediction markets by the end of the year, as people are looking for the killer prediction app. Our goal is to become that killer prediction app, one where users can have this unique opportunity to find any prediction market from Barbie to the number of chains that are integrated on OpenOcean. And personally, I think with the influx of so much institutional capital coming into the space right now, I really hope to see the tides shifting towards a focus on fundamentals, and thus, the broader adoption of decentralized finance tools like OpenOcean and FORE that can add value not only to these institutions but to the individual. So it's awesome to see so many projects like OpenOcean focusing on accessibility and interoperability, because I think mainstream adoption of of these projects, including FORE, is really contingent on that. And so for us, a critical piece in that accessibility and adoption of FORE is enabling users to participate with a variety of different assets. So please excuse the dog barking in the background there. We really want. He obviously agrees with me.
It's all right. I've got one pouring at my door as we speak, so don't worry.
You're being slightly better behaved than the ones outside here. But so we want for someone to be able to discover a market that someone, you, for example, or anyone else on this call has created themselves, shared on Twitter, and then be able to click through and participate immediately, regardless of the tokens that they hold. So that's why I'm so excited. And as I said, anyone who's listened to previous AMAs that I've been speaking at will know how excited I am about this particular integration, because thanks to OpenOcean, we're making this possible. For those who are unfamiliar with the integration, earlier this week, we announced that we are integrating into FORE Predict OpenOcean MultiChain API V3, which will essentially enable millions of prospective users, holders, to be able to participate in prediction markets using a variety of assets that they already hold. I really want to touch on what this means for our users, new users, and for us. But before I do, Guy, could you explain to the listeners a little bit more about the MultiChain API V3 and its current application and use cases? Because I've seen, there's a ton of growth within that, particularly at the moment.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted. So take the OpenOcean front end, right? It's the user interface that you go to when you load up the OpenOcean website. And it will be like a lot of other swap interfaces that you use, like Uniswap, SushiSwap. It's that familiar kind of environment, except what we do at OpenOcean, and especially, so I'll touch on the multi-chain API. What we do at OpenOcean is we source and integrate liquidity pools across a whole entire network. So let's take Arbitrum, for example. We have 57 liquidity pools integrated on Arbitrum, and that's a mix of V1 pools, V2 pools, concentrated liquidity, centralized order books, and order books. And what our multi-chain API does is it basically enables you to not only trade amongst all of those LPs, but do that completely on the back end. So you don't even have to load up the OpenOcean site. You can say, let's be a wallet developer. You can be a perps platform. You could be a LP rebalancing platform. Whatever it is, there's an application for the OpenOcean API. So we're on V3 of the API now, and platforms, what they can do is they can call our API for anything related to token flows. So whether that's they want to do a swap as part of theirs, let's say it's a perp platform and they want to have swap features live so that when users want to participate in activities on the platform, and drawing back to FORE on this matter, if they don't have the required token, a lot of the times we find is that people then go, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click off, I'll go to this other site to buy the tokens, right? So number one, right, what it's not doing is it's not making it accessible for the user. I want to have the tokens now on this site right in front of me. Two, for the platform, you risk losing that user getting distracted because let's face it, Web3 is an endless chain of distractions and offers and sort of APR pop-ups and all of these different sort of things combine to make it more difficult for the platform to retain the user and for the user to feel like they have everything they need to do on that particular platform. So at the start of 2022, we were doing about 30% of our volume via our backend API. And obviously, with the growing amount of integrations for OpenOcean, that's including sort of big integrations with wallets like MetaMask, Rabi Wallet, for example. We're actually now doing 70% of our platform volume via our API on the backend, which means that 30% of our volume is coming from those users who visit our site directly, whereas the other 70% is all in use by our partners. We do have a really wide partner network, and there's some amazing applications for the API. For example, Lido uses the OpenOcean API, which basically allows you to swap your liquid staking tokens for ETH rather than go through a sort of unbonding process. Camelot has the OpenOcean API aggregator directly on the front page. And so there's loads of different applications. And as I mentioned before, whether it's you want to do portfolio rebalancing, whether you want to take one token and zap that into a pool with two completely different tokens, and that's all the sort of applications and the flows of the OpenOcean API is sort of suited to. So it's what we'd like to pitch it as is a really powerful tool, not only for sort of leveling up platforms. It helps generate extra volume for the source platform. They can layer fees on those swaps if they wanted. They can leave that without fees at all. And also, it helps build that infra and that relationship within the space. So, OpenOcean's front-facing suite of tools wouldn't work without a huge range of partners that we actually have integrated. And I think that's kind of drawing on the whole sort of emotion of the Web3 ecosystem, is that we build tools using other infra to make our own better, but to also help level up our partners. And I think this OpenOcean X4 is a classic example of that. Not only are we sort of tapping into different markets, tapping into each other's communities, but we're utilizing these really powerful tools to sort of not only help level up the individual platforms, but it provides accessibility to greater tokens, and also doesn't discriminate against the user, if they don't necessarily have the required assets to be able to take part in whatever they're taking part in. So from our end, we're currently working on the MultiChain API V3.1, which is going to be a big efficiency update for us. So we're really excited to roll that out. And it's something that we as a platform are going to keep pushing, keep getting more and more partners to use. And yeah, in our sense, it kind of democratizes token flow. As we have a very open door policy in regards to smaller platforms, traders coming in, getting set up, using it, and sort of experiencing what we have to offer. So a bit of a long-winded answer there, but yeah, there's quite a few applications. I could talk all day about it.
No, that's great. And I mean, I love how you talk about it, because it really, this is how partnerships and integration should be within the space, creating something that's greater than the sum of its parts. I loved hearing that 70% is coming through your API. From a personal perspective, with FORE, one of our features on our roadmap later this year is actually FORE API, which follows a kind of similar objective, which is enabling users access to predictions regardless of what front end they're on. So they could be on Twitter, Twitch, or Web2 betting sites, Web3 gaming sites. And that, for me, the way that we thought about it in similar sense to you, is not only democratizing access to prediction markets, but really becomes the catalyst for driving volume and liquidity on FORE. I think you really touched on a great point there, that Web3 is an endless chain of distractions, and that, alongside our rapidly dwindling attention spans as humans, it's so important to be able to reduce that friction or risk losing losing that user potentially. So it's great to see kind of the similar mindset, and I hope that we have the same kind of adoption when we do launch for APIs as you guys have had. So one particular thing that I'm really interested in with OpenOcean is, as I mentioned, the number of chains that you guys have integrated, which I feel like must be a record in the space, but correct me if I'm wrong. And we've been talking as an industry about interoperability, and I still feel like we are quite far away from having a really kind of seamless user experience for a newcomer, for example. So I would love to hear your current view on interoperability, your decision-making process behind new chains being supported by OpenOcean, and really kind of, I suppose, at a broader level, like how you see the vision of people being able to interact cross-chain within the ecosystem.
Yeah, our tagline for a while now has always been the widest reaching DEX aggregator, and I think we are by amount of supported chains. There is a couple bridging platforms I know who support more chains than us, but they just do bridging. So for a temporary while, we will wear the accolade of the aggregator multi-chain crown. But our sort of ethos at OpenOcean has always been to be launched or to sort of run on chain where people want to trade. Obviously, there's a few ways to make it in any space. I'm going to draw a quote from one of my favorite films here, which is number one, be first, number two, be smart, and number three, cheat. And we don't do number three. So, we like to be first and we like to be smart. Which is why OpenOcean was one of the first DEX aggregators, or the first DEX aggregator on the likes of ZK Sync, Linnea. Currently, as far as I'm aware, I stand to be corrected, but OpenOcean is, I believe, the only DEX aggregator on the Mantle network as well. So what we do is we support trading activities, and we support our API directly on those new L2s and those chains where people want to trade. But it's not just limited to L2s and Ethereum. We do have Avalanche, BNB chain, Phantom integrated underneath the hood. with a big push recently onto Solana that we've made. But the great thing from us is that any deployment on another chain, so any deployment, whether it's on a L2, whether it's on a native L1 like Solana, we try to bring our routing API with us. So that means that with all the new projects we're connecting with on Mantle, for example, those projects now have the ability to access the token flows and the aggregation that we do on OpenOcean. And obviously, I said at the start, or you said at the start, there's a couple statistics. We do have now over 1,000 unique liquidity pools, and that sort of spans every single variant of liquidity pool you can think of. So from Gnosis to Linnea to Starknet, we've got all of those supported underneath the hood. And for us, I think we will continue to work and develop on launching on these sort of in these smaller ecosystems. We find there's an absolute huge benefit to being first. Not only does it give us a good accolade as being the first aggregator live on that chain, it also kind of gives us a little bit of a head start and a heads up in terms of our competition, and mostly because we are. This is going to sound like a brag. It's not a brag, but we are very well connected within the space. So if we need to open up communications with, a project, usually it's only a couple hours max until we can, get hold of somebody and sort of get that conversation open and get that building happening. So for us, sort of deciding on where to launch and when to launch is sort of a two-stage process. One, we want to make sure that there's an appetite for it. So for example, like our launch on Manta Network, we saw the huge increase in TVL. We know people are wanting to actively get involved with the Manta Network. So we spent quite a few resources on making sure we get fully integrated there. And as well, like considering chains for this year, I think we're currently eyeing up Tyco. Mode has come across our desk as sort of other scaling solutions. And personally, I'm not particularly biased towards any particular L2. I probably do favor Arbitrum, maybe just because it's the biggest and possibly, in my opinion, the one I've interacted with the most. But that's not to say there isn't a huge amount of value in these other ecosystems, as is sort of evidenced by the fact that we spend a lot of efforts at OpenOcean making sure we have the best LPs possible on those specific chains. So yeah, I mean, if we're going to boil it down to the TLDR, we want to be where people want to trade, and we want to be able to provide, as open a trading environment on that chain as possible. So you get all your information, who you're pulling liquidity from, what tokens you're trading, what your expected slippage is, all of the above sort of boiled down into our multi-chain support. So yeah, I'm really curious as to what we get to at the start of 2025. We're going to be at 40 chains, 42 chains, 43 chains.
I'll make a market to start of the AMA. Yeah, I think really the USP there sounds among many, but the speed to market at which you guys can operate. I know when we started developing it it was on another chain other than Arbitrum. And by the time we got round to launching FORE, the appetite for that chain had kind of decreased in relation to others like Arbitrum. So being able to work so swiftly is really such a valuable piece for us too, because our plan is to be chain agnostic. We're building a global decentralized predictions ecosystem that we really want to democratize access to, for people to be able to generate income via various means through predictions. And an important part of that will be through blockchain accessibility. So being able to work with you guys and work quickly, but also in taking into account user demand. Everything that we are building is and have built to date has been in line with what our users have been feeding back, and as on our testnet, for example, feedback that we get regularly on communication as well as product, and we even have surveys live right now asking users how they see the future of FORE, because for a people-powered network, we want to be building with our users in mind, which I think a lot of projects kind of tend to overlook sometimes. So in short, it's great to be working with you guys, because as we do expand across additional chains, that will make that process far more seamless, and also really importantly enable cross-chain markets. That's part of phase two of the integration that we've discussed, but I think that's critical for ensuring efficient liquidity of markets, rather than having siloed versions for Polygon and Arbitrum. Being able to have users across different blockchains be able to participate in the same markets with different users, that's going to be a really important piece. So I look forward to being able to develop that with you guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate best solution would be, where the users are almost, it's almost like treating it like an AA wallet, right? So you access the site that you want to access, and you interact with all the tools. And when it comes to, hey, so you can make this, you can make X prediction, or you can make Y prediction. It doesn't really, at some point it won't really matter what chain you're on, because you'll have all the integrated chains underneath the hood. So it's just a matter of selecting where you want to deposit the funds from, or you go, oh, I've got some BNB on BNB chain. Cool, I want to go and swap it and have access to this right away. And so it's being able to have that composability and the flexibility, I think, is quite powerful. And especially, yeah, when you don't, it's like the some of the best experiences are when you don't realize that you're like, hey, oh, I've suddenly switched chains and I'm for some reason depositing tokens on Harmony, or for some reason because that's where I've got like liquidity. So being able to have the multi-chain support hugely, it's like such a massive step for a project, is being able to have not only deposits open but have support open for other chains. Because not only does that then basically, let's say for example you then get Optimism under the trunk, you then have access to all the Optimism community. You're now an official Optimism project. You can get invited to Optimism project only spaces. So it's if we look at it twofold, it's both a good marketing tool and really useful for the users themselves. Because I know, for example, I'm not going to name any names, but there are some sites I use where I'm like, oh God, okay, I have to go to the bridge my tokens. It's super long. And then by the time I'm done, I've probably forgotten about what I want to do because of a really short attention span in this space. But with the multi-chain support, absolutely, I think some of the best experiences are when we don't realize we're even going, oh, I'm going to deposit assets from this and deposit assets from there, and you're just using the site, you're using the project and experiencing what it is, and not having to worry about what specific chain or where's my liquidity at and stuff like this. So and I think as sites build more and more infra, that experience, that sort of that moment of confusion or sort of the feeling of, oh, this doesn't really work very well, that goes away almost entirely. And yeah, I think it's great, and I'm all for more sites being able to support like multi-chain deposits or support multi-chain assets as well. So I think it's a big step.
Yeah, 100%. And I think for us, it's such a critical piece because we initially launched our mainnet with FORE token as the sole currency on the platform. And that was intentional. We are I don't want to say one of the only utility tokens in this space. There are many, but I think many people overstate the actual utility of their token. We spent before launch several years crafting our tokenomics and building deflationary mechanisms into the platform so that we could ensure that FORE is removed from supply with pretty much every single transaction. So what I love about this partnership is we are able to preserve this by integrating OpenOcean to enable acceptance of other assets, but whatever asset that someone participates in will be auto converted to FORE via a market buy. So really, this ensures that regardless of the assets used to participate and on what chain, all markets are going to be settled in FORE. And for me, this is a huge win for us and our users, and and newcomers, because accepting other assets will increase protocol volume via a new audience of holders outside the FORE ecosystem. Initially starting on Arbitrum and then being able to scale that across maybe not all of the 35 chains that you guys have integrated, but that's the end goal. And then, being able to market by FORE for market settlement will increase trading volume, liquidity, and deflation of the FORE token. But basically a win-win-win for users,
Oh yeah.
us and our newcomers. So super excited to be able to not only deploy the kind of first phase of integration with OpenOcean, but secondary phases, new chains, cross-market, cross-chain markets, and see where else we can take this as well. I think for us as a team, we are always so interested in being able to kind of brainstorm different solutions that can actually improve the user experience. We are aware that partners can add a lot of value in being able to reduce friction where we may not be able to do on our own. So, the number of solutions that we'll be able to solve with this particular partnership, an integration, I'm really excited to see kind of come to market.
Yeah, and just drawing on the actual process of what we initially sort of connected over was that process of being able to let anybody take any tokens and instantly be able to buy FORE and enter a prediction market is even more powerful through OpenOcean. So, I mean, even if you just go and let's say you go and load up Uniswap and you wanted to load off, first of all, you'd be going off-site to load up your tokens, which is a big no-no. You'd also be paying the Uniswap front-end fee, which I believe is a 0.15%, if the DAO hasn't voted to change it. But if you're buying through OpenOcean, I mean, at the moment, I've just loaded up a swap in front of me, and so far, we're pulling the swap we're swapping into USDT on Hashflow, swapping into FORE for Uniswap. If I increase the size of the trade, we even using Woo for routing as well, which just goes to show, to be able to get the best price on a token, we're not even necessarily just attacking one liquidity pool. What we're doing is we're trading into other tokens to make the least possible impact. So to give the most tokens for your money through the OpenOcean and FORE integration. So this means that that when you enter through the OpenOcean sort of token flow, you're always going to be getting the best value on your FORE tokens. So that's something that we're kind of really excited about. And I've actually got another ace up my sleeve to pitch to Timothea after the call. So exciting times and a little bit more alpha to go around. But yeah, I would say, we're really happy with the integration. I think FORE is one of the first platforms of its type that we've actually partnered with. So, for us, we're entering into a new era, the predictions market. I would suggest maybe the closest thing, even though it's not at all related, would maybe be like options, but then only because that's binary, but that's token pricing, so it's nothing similar whatsoever. I can't make a prediction market on whether this carton of orange juice that I'm going to buy is going to go out of date in 2 weeks' time. Not that I think there would be a way to verify that. I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. But yeah,
that is something that we spoke about. That is something that we thought about further down the line, like more kind of social markets that people can participate in. So being able to extend the possible verification sources for something like that. So while I don't know that many people would participate in that particular market, we are looking at how we can how we can facilitate something like that.
I'm going to have a live stream of the orange juice up the whole time. Don't worry, it won't be tampered with.
Perfect. That's your validation source. So we've got it fixed. Awesome. Cool. Well, another thing I wanted to touch on then, we've kind of jumped ahead from to the future, then the first phase of the integration to the kind of future of the broader space. So I want to take it back to today, right now. This week, FORE token was listed on OpenOcean. I know you mentioned some of the benefits of buying FORE and other assets on OpenOcean Guide, but I think there's a lot more, from limit orders to discounts on gas fees. So do you want to share a little bit more with the listeners as to why OpenOcean would be the kind of preferred spot for trading FORE?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a few extra sort of tools on OpenOcean to enhance your experience. So first off, OpenOcean's goal, at the end of 22 was to become as horizontally integrated as possible. Now, horizontal integration means that we want to be there from the first moment that you take some fiat on chain to your first swap, your first limit order, maybe dabble in a bit of perps, maybe take some tokens cross chain. And, when you've made your first 10x, 20x, 30x, be the place where you take that fiat off and convert that back into fiat money, if that is your wish. So with OpenOcean, we've always tried to be obviously the platform of value, the platform of flexibility and options. And with that said, there are a few extra flows that we now have the FORE token sort of live in. So you can go. So let's sort of start with our main swaps. You can swap into FORE from almost any single token on chain. So whether that's even a meme coin, one that we don't even have listed, you can put in a contract address, and we'll do our best to pull all the various info for that token. So you can make that swap as seamlessly as possible. Now, I mentioned earlier that we have, tons and tons of very, very deep liquidity pools that we pull from. And we also have our own in-house routing algorithm, which determines the most efficient route for a swap. So if it's cheaper for us to swap a user's token into, let's say, DAI for a routing token, and then swap via let's say swap, we're going to do a swap via Woo, which ultimately will then pull from the Uniswap pool. If that's the cheapest option, then that's what we present to you as well. So when you go, if you use the OpenOcean front end, you load up a swap, you'll see the whole entire routing pathway. So what we're trading into, where it's trading from, and what we're going to expect out of it. You can also see your estimated price impact, and know that the only fee you're going to pay on top of that fee is the gas fee. So that's one of our that's our main bread and butter is our swaps. We've also got gas-free limit orders. This means, let's say, for example, you wanted to, let's just use ETH for example. Let's say you wanted to buy ETH, or you want to sell ETH at $3,000 per ETH, right? So you'd click on the limit order, you'd put in the token. So in this case, it would be Ethereum. You set your conditions, and all you have to do is sign a message, right? There's no gas fees. So all you do is you sign a message saying, I want to sell this asset when it reaches X price. And that is then possible for all the tokens on our site. So if you want to make a sort of limit order on the FORE token, you can do that as well. What some traders do on OpenOcean is they leave these limit orders open, because you can select a custom time period all the way up to a year. Some traders leave these limit orders open for days, weeks at a time, for when those conditions finally hit, and then surprise, surprise, they get a whole bunch of nice tokens at a discounted rate in their wallet. But likewise as well, you can use the limit orders on FORE to DCA in on a position, or like via sort of when price conditions are met. It's not a traditional DCA where you're doing it based on time. But what you can do is you can set levels. So let's say you were to buy 1,000 tokens and you wanted to sell 250 tokens at every 10% increase or 20% increase. That is what the gas-free limit orders are there to designed for. And we also use, we use a mix of both. So when you do a limit order, we use our AMM side, which is for our swaps, but we also pull into RFQ and private market makers. So there is even a better potential for a more advantageous, a sort of better than market rate and a more advantageous rate through using the limit orders. And then we also have cross-chain swaps enabled, which will let you go from any token on another one of our supported chain into FORE or whatever your selected token is. So we do only have 8 chains supported for our cross-chain swaps, so not as quite wide-reaching as the 35. But those are some of the most popular chains that we have on the platform, and they're our most sort of requested by volume, size, and user base as well. So you could go from a meme token on Optimism directly bridge directly into FORE. And a very, very, very quick TLDR of how that works is we use, as far as I'm aware, we're one of the only platforms that does bridging in this way, is we sandwich swaps either side of a bridging process from one of our external partners for the most efficient bridge possible. So if it's cheaper for us to swap your USDC into DAI, for example, and then take that DAI and roll it into WETH and then roll that into another token, if that's the cheapest option for us to be able to do the bridge, then that's what we present. And a few of our bridging partners include Stargate, Seller, Squid, and Symbiosis. And so we're really kind of pleased on the partnerships that we've had with them. And ultimately, yeah, one of the best and smoothest bridging experiences is to just use the OpenOcean cross-chain swap, which we have, FORE already included. So if you want to go and experience that, give that a try. Now is probably the best time. And actually, I'll make a tiny little plug while we're talking about Arbitrum and everything Arbitrum. We do currently have, if you click through onto the OpenOcean profile, we do currently have quite a few Arbitrum-centric campaigns that are live right now that you can get involved with, which means that you could even scoop up a whole bunch of FORE tokens and pay only 50% on your gas. So extra sort of fuel for the fire, lots of motivation, and we also have a massive Arbitrum based giveaway, which I think is quite exciting. And actually, while we're here and speaking about it, it would be great if we could include I think FORE protocol for next week's for our week 4. So I'll probably just say that right now. So that will be trading FORE tokens on OpenOcean to earn extra tickets for our Arbitrum loot boxes. So we're doing the Arbitrum airdrop bonanza. The thought literally just occurred to me while we're talking about it. So I'm thinking, yeah, we'll include FORE for next week as well.
Well, you've said it live now, so it has to happen.
We're definitely we can definitely do it, no problem.
Yeah, awesome. Well, before then, we can share with you guys that we do actually have a trading competition live on OpenOcean as of right now. So to take part, all you have to do is buy/trade $5 worth of FORE token on OpenOcean before 12 p.m. UTC next Thursday, and you could win 5,000 FORE. So we'll be sharing the link in the comments below ahead of the announcement shortly, but feel free to get ahead of the game now, as all participating wallet addresses will be tracked. So looks like we're going to have back-to-back activity, all centered around your ability to trade FORE on OpenOcean. So
I was just going to say that lines up perfectly, because our one finishes next Thursday, and then we'll launch another one on OpenOcean, including the FORE token next week, Thursday. So everyone gets the chance to double dip for rewards. Yeah, that's really exciting.
Amazing. Perfectly timed. It's almost like it was intentional.
I know. I think it's written down in a document somewhere, but I just thought, you know what, we don't have you guys in the airdrop bonanza yet, so let's do it. Let's do that next week.
Awesome.
So,
I love
after
that.
our one's finished.
A man of the people.
Let's go.
So before I jump into the community questions, of which there were several hundred odd, which is great to see, is there any exciting alpha for OpenOcean that you'd like to share, given all of the kind of things you guys have planned for the year ahead?
Oh, exciting alpha. See, most of the exciting alpha is is internal at the moment. We're working on a few practices internally which would really sort of benefit our user experience, even though that it's never, people want to hear about really fun releases, awesome campaigns, partnerships. These are sort of a few simple tools that we're rolling out on OpenOcean to not only increase the responsiveness of the UI, make everything a little bit more snappy, make the site a little bit more user friendly for us, get a few more insights into what our users are doing. So that's something that we're rolling out in like the next 2 or 3 weeks. It won't be a immediate sort of visual upgrade, but hopefully those of our front end users who tap into OpenOcean will notice, everything feels a little snappier. The site, everything loads a little bit quicker. In terms of like alpha for our sort of backend clients, we are currently working on API V3.1. which we expect to have a huge update for our quote speeds and also our on-chain efficiency, most notably including on Ethereum as well. So we're really, really excited to push that out. Slightly looking forward to Q2. It's not really been that much of a secret, but something that we're kind of proud of when we do eventually release it. We do have an NFT aggregator fully built. It's sitting in the wings at the moment, waiting. It just needs a little bit more finessing and testing, but it is fully built out. So we are kind of patiently waiting to release that as soon as our tech team give us the go ahead. But I think we're probably targeting Q2 for that. And yeah, I mentioned it earlier. We're currently looking at supporting more and more chains. For those of you who are pretty persistent OpenOcean users, you might have noticed a new chain pop up in the chain connections that we haven't really talked about. It was supposed to be a stealth launch. It still kind of is. I might have undone that with me just saying this, but go and give that a try. If you don't know what it is, ask in the Telegram chat, and we're more than happy to tell you. But yeah, just keep an eye on us. We will have support for Tyco launching soon, as well as I think we're considering Mode and a couple other L2s that are on the horizon. So loads of exciting stuff to come from us. Yeah, man, we're really excited for 2024. We really want to see what we can sort of bring to the table by the end of this year. We think all eyes are going to be on the space, so best grow while you can.
Absolutely. Well, I will be, once I'm off this AMA, making some markets on the expected date of the NFT marketplace launch, as well as some of the features that that you announced. So, yeah, I mean, from our perspective as well, we have another milestone on our roadmap being released next week. I won't share which one it is, but people who attended our last AMA or have checked out our roadmap, which if you are new here, I suggest you do check it out. It's foreprotocol.io/roadmap, packed full of new features, new milestones. We're really committed this year to a year of growth. Last year was really about laying the foundations, proving that our hypotheses work, that people really do want to be creating prediction markets on any event with other users with better odds and lower fees. And now each of our kind of subsequent milestones is about adoption and accessibility of not only the platform itself, but the FORE token. So excited to share that with you guys next week. Make sure you are following us and turn notifications on to see what we've got in store, because I feel like this is a really exciting milestone towards how we envision the future of FORE as a ecosystem versus just a prediction platform. So let's jump into some of the community questions. I think we've got a little bit of time just for those. First one, this one is for you, Guy. I mean, I suppose you've already kind of touched on this, but a 50% discount on gas fees is an attractive offer for users. Can you explain how you managed to provide that and how it makes a more cost-effective trading experience with the FORE integration?
Yeah, so the 50% off on gas fees was actually one of the phases of our Arbitrum STIP. So OpenOcean was sort of lucky enough to receive the Arbitrum STIP back in September last year. And the STIP is the short-term, it's either incentives or improvements. I can never remember. But anyway, it's basically a sort of grant money decided by the community and by other sort of leader voices in the space, and with the idea that the funds go towards growing the platform, bringing users into Arbitrum and making sure that Arbitrum is the best L2 experience you can have on chain. So as part of that, OpenOcean was grateful enough to receive an allocation of ARB tokens. We had to fully sort of line out what we intended to do with that. So, part of that process is one of the phases is to reward users for bridging tokens onto Arbitrum. So those bringing liquidity into Arbitrum. The gas rebates was done as purely an incentive to bring people into the Arbitrum ecosystem, let them experience, what trading on Arbitrum is like for those who may not have interacted with the chain before. So the STIP has been a great sort of boon for us and for the Arbitrum ecosystem. And yeah, that does roll forward into our partnership with FORE. Whilst the gas rebates are live, and I believe they're running till March as well, there is an ongoing 50% off on your gas fees, which can be claimed via the OpenOcean portfolio page. Which is sort of be accessed from the banner on the top on OpenOcean. So there's plenty of reasons to get involved, and we think as well, for those partners who are using OpenOcean on Arbitrum API, they're also passing forward those gas savings to their users. So everywhere from MetaMask to Rabby to FORE and to other platforms who are sort of calling of our API, if they're trading on Arbitrum, the users can go and get that 50% gas, and it's not an upfront. You do have to claim that gas back, but it will be 50% of all your fees. So if you make a swap and see that the fee is like, oh, it's like a normal gas fee, you can then just go and retrospectively claim those gas fees back, and they'll all be counted. But yeah, we think it's a really great marketing technique for Arbitrum, for OpenOcean, and it just does sort of, it's a sort of trickle down effect. It trickles all the way down to the end user being able to get half off their fees. So whether it's just a normal user swapping tokens, or whether it's a slightly more advanced user who's maybe is doing some experimental arbitrage or market making, they can fulfill that experience better with half off their gas fees. So it's kind of a little bit of an eye opener and a good thing to get people on the chain.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also the second round of, well, it's not called STIP anymore. They have another name for it, but that's something that we are working on participating in also. So, so that we can continually reduce gas fees on the platform, as well as gasless swaps is an important one, and essentially enabling users to have a greater share of their profits. Really important for us to be able to facilitate. So another question here, and I'm asking you this because I also want to answer it. But how does OpenOcean Global engage with local communities in its work?
Yeah, fantastic question. I think local communities are super important when you have a sort of burgeoning, sort of growing community. And I think part of the challenge is being able to witness, is being able to notice, that there are isolated pockets of community members which are growing. So we are really thankful at OpenOcean. I think our three biggest communities are, we have OpenOcean Vietnam, which posts a lot of content, reading material, especially around OpenOcean and sort of DeFi in a sort of wider sense. We also have the OpenOcean Persian group, which is again very, very strong. They translate a lot of content into Persian just to make it easily digestible and accessible. And our OpenOcean Francophone, which is our French-speaking groups. So whilst we do have these sort of three strong communities, we also do host language community rooms in our Discord as well. So if you're a native Russian speaker or a Mandarin speaker, you can still get involved and help participate. I think fostering growth within local communities is very important. Not only are you enabling another level of discourse between users, I think encouraging these spaces, with small amounts of funding, getting them to translate content for you, just be able to helps you tap and reach into a wider market. And that's something that we're always looking for what our next big community is going to be, or sort of where we can put more eggs in the baskets for our local community. So I would say they're super important to any project looking to grow. And I would actually think, drawing on FORE, I would think, especially given the nature of the prediction field, I think you guys would win, hand over fist, with so much more exposure to different communities in these prediction markets.
Absolutely, and that we share that same sentiment 100%. Just last week, we released FORE Global 2.0. So essentially, not only can users navigate the app itself in their native language, but all user-created prediction markets and related content will be automatically translated in real time. So we've started with a kind of base number of languages: Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, German, French and Italian, I believe. And we are continually expanding that based on, as with everything, of course, user requests. And we think this is really important because I think a lot of the underrepresented sports, for example, in traditional betting sites or betting markets, are going to be, more regional specific. Vietnam, you mentioned, for example, they love badminton, but that's not really something you'd find on Bet365. And we really want to be able to cater to all different audiences, not only with the actual markets that they want to see, but within their native language too. So really excited to be developing that further, and really build a global prediction market that anyone can participate in a simple and seamless way. So one more question I think we can jump on before we close out. So this was nicely timed. Well done, everyone. The article mentions cross-chain and multi-chain technology as a key feature of OpenOcean Global. How does this technology work, and what benefit does it bring to users in terms of seamlessly moving assets with and between different blockchains, specifically when it comes to FORE? I know you already touched on this, but I feel like this is a nice kind of powerful way to end the AMA.
Yeah, we did kind of touched on the technology of how our swaps, or sort of cross-chain swaps work. But I'll kind of summarize it again. Yeah, I think that especially with sort of us being able to have the integrations that we do currently under the belt, OpenOcean is probably one of the best partners you could choose in terms of flexibilities for token flows, and I think that's sort of ever present for the FORE token in of itself. There's currently to be able to get involved, you have to be holding the necessary required assets, whereas it's our view that anybody should be able to take part regardless of what they hold. And so for that reason, what we're sort of putting together is the auto conversion, auto swap feature of tokens into FORE tokens for when you interact on the protocol. And again, this will be drawing on the OpenOcean API, our V3 routing API, which will automatically determine the most efficient, the cheapest, and the quickest route for you to be able to get your tokens. So, in the experience of or in this sort of pursuing the best user experience we can, part of that is the efficiency of those swaps of acquiring the tokens. And so that's something that we wanted to make sure that we had sort of live and forefront in everyone's mind when we had this integration conceived and up and eventually up and running. We want to be able to support the FORE protocol, support the FORE token from our standpoint. We will continue to support them as well, through sort of social and community events and things like this. But any platform or any specific token looking to leverage the sort of multi-chain tech that we have, it's like an instant level up for the platform. You have so much extra infra available at your fingertips. And again, most people silo the API integrations into just swaps, but there's so much more that's possible from sort of under the hood with our API, and something that I think we're looking forward to exploring more with FORE in the future. So I think this is a great, fantastic start to a new relationship and a new friendship. And yeah, as we often say in this space, there is no glass ceiling. The potential is whatever we decide to make it. And so we're excited for this deployment and kind of really excited to start enabling these token flows.
Absolutely. And yeah, as I said, just to kind of summarize, I feel like this is, everyone who's heard me speak about this before knows that I'm so excited because I feel like this is really one of the game-changing steps that of many that we have planned to really broaden accessibility and adoption and benefits us, our users and newcomers. So super excited to be able to take this live, in partnership with you guys. And yeah, I feel like we have a really bright future ahead, and kind of partnership. So thank you guys so much for being here. Just a reminder, our trading competition is live on OpenOcean. So when you buy/trade just $5 worth of FORE, you can be entered to win 5,000 FORE. So get trading, get following. Can't wait to share more updates with you guys, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the invite, and a huge thanks to everybody listening in as well.
100%. Thank you. Speak soon.
Bye.